Hey YouTube, it's me, the Student Witch. So this is a 2-for-1 deal for this video. This is a video response to Ember HoneyRaven's giveaway for newbies, and I hope I still count as a newbie. I kind of first got into the craft and first started toying around with the idea of calling myself a witch in October of 2014, so that would be about 15 months ago. And I've had my YouTube channel up since last June, so that's about 7 months ago. So if I don't, if I don't count or whatever, it's fine. But I just thought it was a really awesome idea, and it's very, very generous of you, Ember. Thank you so much. Just, keeping us newbies in mind and just being awesome in general. Thank you. If you see some smoke wafting, I just got some incense in the mail. Oh, I'm burning it right now. It's the Hem Black Magic incense, and this is my first time ordering Hem incense. I just got it on Amazon. I got several boxes of Hem incense. I got 120 sticks of the Black Magic, which I plan to use for my shadow work. I also got their forest collection, so it has like a box like this of pine, cedar, I think sandalwood, rainforest, and first rain or something like that. And then I got a general, variety pack with like lavender and sandalwood and lemongrass, things like that. And another box or a variety pack that I'm really excited about is the planetary or celestial pack. So it has the sun, the moon, the planets, a box that they call galaxy, and something else that I'm forgetting. The sun, the moon, the planets, galaxy, and one other one. I can't remember, but I'm really excited about that. So, anyway, incense aside, and this smells really good, really sweet. But it kind of smells like a bar of soap, like the type of bar of soap you'd find in your grandma's bathroom, but in a good way. And when you burn it, it has a delicious, like, smoky sweetness to it. So anyway, I recommend Black Magic. So I rambled. So this is a video response for that, but it's also a catch-up for me for the YouTube Pagan Challenge that's been going around. I have missed out on the first 3 weeks, so I figured I'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone by answering the first 3 weeks questions for the YouTube Pagan Challenge, and that would, give some of the information that Ember requested in her video. So here we go. So I think the first question for the challenge was, how did you find your path? Or as Ember said in one of her previous videos, I think when she answered week 1, or how did your path find you? So I was raised Roman Catholic, but neither of my parents were raised Roman Catholic. They weren't really raised in religious households. It was my mom who kind of pushed us into organized religion, organized Christianity. But even as a kid, I think we became Catholic when I was in 2nd grade, so just in time for my first communion. And I was very, very, very Catholic, you guys, even through high school. But then I went to college and I discovered feminism. And I kind of developed the doubts that I had already had when I was a kid. Like, when I was 10 years old, the concept of hell just didn't make sense to me because it seemed contradictory. You know, if God has this abundance of joy and love for each of us, why would he send anyone to hell? And also, you know, the Catholic Church's official stance on hell is the only surefire way to get sent directly to hell is if on the moment of your death you deny God. That's it. So that just kind of seemed egotistical to me. Like, why? I don't know. I just feel like God has much more important things to do than worrying about if I'm worshiping him. And plus, if he's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, all the omnis, you know, if he is all the omnis, why would he give a shit about little old me? You know? So going to college and kind of exploring different spiritualities on my own allowed me to leave all that behind. I toyed around with the idea of atheism for a while, but it just didn't feel right to me because, I don't know, I could feel that there is something sacred, there is something divine, even if it's just existence itself. You know, it is divine and sacred, and there is something unifying about it. So I just didn't feel comfortable being an atheist, at least not in the way that I understood atheism, as like a Richard Dawkins arrogant scientist kind of atheism. So I just started claiming I was agnostic or a non-believer, not really sure which way I was going to go. And then in grad school, the first year of my master's in Georgia, I was dating a guy, and he was really into Christianity, and he was Episcopalian, and he actually wanted to become an Episcopal priest, and he was an asshole, ultimately. So because of his influence on me and because of my own insecurities, I let him influence me way too much. I flirted with Christianity once again, and then he and I went our separate ways, and then I met my husband, and my husband and I actually kind of started this more pagan alternative path together. And I still don't really know what to call myself, honestly. I feel like I haven't read enough, but I also feel like I don't have much time to read or money to buy the books. But my husband and I, we kind of officially left Christianity together, and he started reading about alchemy, and I was reading about crystals, and because I've mentioned before, I had this like terrible pain in my shoulder, arm, wrist, and hand on the right side, and it was debilitating, and so I was getting desperate for a cure, and he was getting desperate for a cure for this skin allergy condition thing that he has on his right hand. So Western medicine, or modern Western medicine, wasn't working. So we decided, well, fuck it, let's just try crystals. I think we started watching a lot of those spirit science videos. I think they're on YouTube, and they have the little like cartoon guy explaining different things, different aspects of like Kabbalah or crystals, or, you know, those kind of like new agey stuff. So we just went to the local new agey alternative store, and we bought the crystals we thought we needed and made up a crystal grid, and sure enough, within a month of setting up that grid, my pain went away. It still comes back every once in a while, but it's never been as bad as it was before. And actually, the weird calcium deposit that I had developing in this joint over a few months disappeared. So he and I kind of explored that. We explored the possibilities of this alternative community. So fast forward a few years. It's fall semester of 2014, and that's when I started calling myself a witch and practicing as a solitary pagan witch. I'm still not sure what type of pagan I am, or witch for that matter. I guess more on the eclectic side or more on the pantheistic side. And yeah, I'm still exploring. So that's a not too short answer to part one. Week two's question was, what was week two's question? Are you in the closet or not? The broom closet. Yes and no. I guess having my YouTube channel is such a therapeutic way for me to just be able to put it out there and own it and be myself. But at the same time, I'm careful about how much information I put out there, because in the day-to-day world, I'm very much in the closet. Basically, only my husband and my advisor, my academic advisor, knows, because she's a witch herself. I don't know if she calls herself a witch, but that woman, she's a fucking witch. She's a powerful woman, and she works with crystals. She believes in past lives and reincarnation and all this kind of stuff. So I've talked to her a little bit about it. So basically, those are the only two people who know. I just have to be careful because I am in academia. I plan on being a professor. And I guess just like any other industry, academia can be kind of cutthroat, so if someone can try to ruin your reputation, they will. So I have to protect my identity, and I have to learn who to trust and who not to trust, unfortunately. So for very practical reasons, I am in the closet. I've had my sister come visit me and my parents come visit me, and I just left all my altars out. And I'm not very afraid of my family, which I guess I'm lucky for that, because some people do have to be afraid of repercussions from their family for being who they are. So I am lucky that my parents are just kind of like, don't ask, don't tell kind of people in general. So if they see an altar set up in my bedroom with like candles of Guadalupe and incense and stuff, they're just not gonna ask me about it. But if anybody, like if my parents or my sister or any of my close friends, if they did ask me about it, I would just tell them. So it's mostly my professional life that I have to keep it guarded. So yeah, that's week 2. And week 3's question, this week's question was, where's your sacred space? And let me see if I can find the book. Ooh, I think it's right behind my phone. I'll pause this. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back for week 3's answer. This comes from Mircea Eliade, and this is a collection of some of his writings, not all. Mircea Eliade, I think he was Romanian, and he was a pretty well-known professor of religion and religious studies. His work is heavily influenced by Jungian analysis and psychoanalytic theory in general. So This comes from an essay of his, Literary Imagination and Religious Structure. So he has this term that I think he coins called hierophany. And this is what he says. Any religious phenomenon is a hierophany, i.e., a manifestation of the sacred, a dialectical process that transforms a profane object or act into something that is sacred, i.e., significant, precious, and paradigmatic. In other words, through a hierophany, the sacred is all at once revealed and disguised in the profane. So again, Mircea Eliade, if you're interested in some like more academic viewpoints on theology and the study of religions, I would definitely check him out. And this is a great collection of little snippets of his work. So this hierophany idea is how the sacred, so a sacred space for us pagans, for example, can be found within the profane, and how through the use of ritual, through the use of what we would call magic even, as witches or practitioners of magic or chaots or whatever you want to call yourself, we transform this profane into sacred. And so one of the main attractions for me of paganism, or neo-paganism as it is today, is how it defines the sacred, because in a lot of, at least in the three main religions, the three main Abrahamic religions, monotheistic religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, the sacred is defined as non-material. It is transcendent, purely transcendent. It cannot be found in the material world, in our material bodies, in material existence. The material is seen as something that needs to be surpassed in order to have access to the transcendent truth of God or whatever, the sacred. Well, paganism finds the sacred within the material, as well as the transcendent. So I think it's wonderful that the idea that anything can become sacred, a book can become sacred, a ritual space can become sacred, a creek, like the creek outside my window where I do a lot of ritual work, is sacred. Not just this thing that's out of reach, that I could never reach as long as I'm in this material body. That being said, since I'm exploring pantheism, and potentially I might call myself a pantheistic pagan solitary witch, for a lot of pantheists, they don't necessarily maintain the human-non-human split as far as the sacred. Like, I know I've heard a lot of witches and pagans say that they feel nature is sacred. And by defining something as nature, they're automatically defining what is not nature, i.e., and usually this is what they mean, man-made. But for pantheism that sees the unity of divinity or the divine or the sacred in everything, that means, a forest or a creek can be sacred as much as an office building or a trash dump. Just because it's or I should say human-made, doesn't make it, or doesn't mean it has less connection with divine. And that is something I'm still struggling with, understanding that, and understanding what the implications are of that. But yeah, so I just thought this quote from Eliade was interesting. When I first saw the topic for week 3 of the YouTube Pagan Challenge, I immediately thought of him. Let me give a close-up of his name, Mircea Eliade. He was a professor in Chicago. I think he passed away in the late 80s or early 90s. But yeah, if you're into psychoanalysis or Jungian thought and religion, check him out. But yeah, so the sacred for me is technically everything, but it's also what I personally set aside as sacred. So my whole apartment is kind of sacred because it's kind of small, so I've just made it all one big altar with different focal points. But my altar upstairs is especially sacred. The creek outside is sacred. Working with candles like this is sacred. Sitting at my desk and writing an academic paper is sacred because I'm lucky enough to be able to connect my spiritual tendencies with my academic work. You know, just closing my eyes and meditating is sacred. My yoga mat is sacred. So sacred is whatever space or profane object I decide to use and transform into something sacred, into a hierophany, to use Eliade's term. So yeah, I'm a bit flexible when it comes to that. So anyway, thank you again, Ember, for being so generous and informative as always. Good luck to everybody for her giveaway. This is such a great idea for newbies. It's also great to kind of push newbies to own it publicly in Facebook, I guess. Sorry, not Facebook, YouTube. Because it is scary. I remember filming my first video and just thinking I sounded like an idiot and no one would watch me. And now I have like around 130 subscribers. And I get lots of feedback from them. So yeah, it's great being part of a community, even if it's a virtual one. And it's great being able to just be yourself and express yourself the way you want to. It's very empowering. So good luck to everybody, and I look forward to seeing everybody else's videos and meeting new people and getting to know new members of this great community. And thanks again, Ember. You're awesome.